People are adaptable. They adapt to the people, places, and things around them. This is especially true of children. There are upsides to adaptation, and there are downsides to adaptation, and today we're going to talk about one of those downsides. The downside of adaptations seemingly making us safe when they are in fact making us unsafe and keeping us fixed to unsafe situations. We live at a time when human relationships are profoundly dysfunctional, and all families fall somewhere on this scale of dysfunction. When we are using the word dysfunction in this context, what we mean is that a relationship is not working because one or many elements of that relationship are detrimental to one or both parties involved, or in a family dynamic, all involved. Because the dynamic in a dysfunctional family system is detrimental, I should say all of those dynamics, or some of them are detrimental, they are unsafe on an emotional, mental, and/or physical level. A dysfunctional family is not a safe environment. This means that each member of the family must adapt to the reality of this unsafety in whatever way they think makes them the safest. This obviously helps them in some way, but it also dooms them. And it dooms them in two ways. First, it forges and forms them for that specific type of environment and specific relationship. They fit in with that environment and relationship now because they've been essentially made for it. The empowerment they found relative to staying safe and to their needs being met was specific to that situation. They're operational in it. It's familiar. Their way of being doesn't make sense in any other environment or relationship. Why? Because they've been made for this one. And so they gravitate towards that specific environment and that specific kind of relationship. They feel unfamiliar, disempowered, quite often non-operational, and out of place in any other type of environment or relationship, even if that environment or relationship is dangerous and/or unhealthy for them. 2. When you adapt to a dysfunctional family, you are adapting to an unsafe situation. You aren't changing what is unsafe into what is safe. You're making yourself fit in with an unsafe situation, so you're going to be able to stay there. And so, by definition, you are making yourself unsafe at the very same time as you are developing safety strategies. And when a dysfunctional family is making you unsafe, you tend to disown qualities that would keep you safe in the world so as to fit in with that unsafe environment. This means that your adaptations can very easily handicap you relative to your ability to create actual safety in your life. So that you can understand this better, let's look at the example of Rose. Rose was raised in a family with a father who was gone almost all the time, and a mother who had the wrong idea about parenting. Rose's mother imagined that having a child would be like having a doll, that she would have so much fun taking care of it and dressing it up, and the child would be a playmate for her in life and love her unconditionally. When Rose was born, however, she certainly was unprepared for things like nighttime screaming fits or having to feed and change the baby when the baby needed these things rather than when she decided she wanted to do them. What else? She was totally unprepared for a child moving around when she wanted her to sit still, or fighting nap time when she decided she was completely done looking after Rose. She was unprepared for Rose developing her own personality and her own likes and dislikes that were different to her own. Rose's mother did not want a child. She wanted a living doll. Because that isn't what she got, she was consistently upset with Rose. From her perspective, Rose was hurting her by not being that, and there were consequences for this. Consequences like shaming, isolating her in timeouts, belittling, negative comparisons, victim control dynamics, spanking, triangulating her father against her, and the list goes on. These things were harmful to Rose, and therefore were not safe. Rose, like all children, was a captive in her family environment. Now, I know that people don't like to think of children as captives. Makes us uncomfortable, but that is essentially what they are. They are stuck in their family and they can't get away, unless the situation is so severe that external authorities step in and remove them. And by the way, that's extremely traumatizing. It's not like children in those situations are like, yay! Okay, so being unable to make her environment and relationship safe, Rose adapted to them, right? Rose started to keep herself safe by becoming the doll that her mother always wanted. To stay safe, she became a people pleaser. She became sedentary and didn't move around a lot. She convinced herself that she liked the same things that her mother liked, and wanted her to like. She stopped asserting any of her needs. It's easy to see how these things made her safer with her mother and father in that unsafe environment, but these same qualities made it so that she was formed, and made for relationships with people for whom there is only a me, not also a you. Environments where her sole purpose is to serve others regardless of the cost to herself. These adaptations also make her unsafe in her adult self out in the world. Remember how I said that Rose doesn't move around a lot? Well, she's now obese and feels constantly incapable physically, so she feels no physical safety. She can't assert boundaries, so no one knows what they are, and so her boundaries are constantly being violated by others and in fact by herself. She says yes to things that should absolutely be a no for her. Her first instinct is to comply when complying with the wrong person has proven to be really unsafe. She's keeping herself alone in relationships also. That's not a safe condition because no one knows who she is. She doesn't bring who she is to the table. She also gravitates towards use dynamics where no one really cares about her beyond the use that they have for her. She has no inner compass. Why? Because she threw it away a long time ago to do what her mother wanted and thought was right. So she always needs somebody else to tell her what to do and what direction to go in. And this list goes on and on. It's not hard to see how unsafe this stuff is, right? Rose's adaptations for safety have not bent her for success. Instead, they have bent her for unsafety. Take a look at your own childhood. What were the unique specific pains and specific kinds of unsafety that were present in your childhood? What are some of the ways that you adapted to those specific pains and specific kinds of unsafety? How did those adaptations keep you safer and/or help you to meet your needs better? And from there, can you see the ways that it bent you towards unsafety? Can you see how it may have forged and formed you for a specific type of environment and a specific type of relationship? Can you see how each specific adaptive strategy you employed could make you more unsafe, potentially? To learn more about this whole concept, you can watch my video titled How Your Adaptations Saved Your Life Only to Doom It. That video is going to help you out a lot. Because you associate these adaptive strategies with safety, even though you are in fact getting safer by changing them, doing so will make you feel more unsafe. But changing these default safety strategies you adopted will make you far safer in the world. It will make it so that you can choose to be in different, healthier, and safer environments and relationships. It will make it so that you can choose a method for safety that actually works in whatever situation you may find yourself in. Have a good week.